Well, hello everyone. It's Lena with you on Black Mountain Talks. And today we have our regular military update with Mike Mikhailovich. Hello, Mike.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Oh, yeah, fine. There was so many news over the last 2 weeks. I even don't know what to start with, but I think we will start with the most, loud news we had yesterday. It was about aid for the Ukraine in amounts of $61 billion, which was presented. What do you think?
Yeah, well, out of those 61 or 60.08 billions, about 50 billion will stay in the States. So that will be handed over to the military-industrial complex so that they can build new ammunition, new weapons, anything that they want to imagine. 10 billions will be distributed with Congress people, so they will get their shares. It will be a lot of handing over and transactions to their accounts. The rest will go to Ukraine, so 1 billion will go to Ukraine, and they will cover with that pensions. They will cover salaries. Of course, Zelenskyy and his team, they're going to get their fair shares as well. So bottom line, they will get some ammunition from the West, but that ammunition is the one which is now in the warehouses, which is always kept in the case of war. So it's basically war reserves. So they will get all their stuff, and the military-industrial complex is going to produce the new one. They already got, I think, $200 billion and achieved nothing. And based on the sheer and the pure mathematics, if $200 billion achieve nothing, what can be achieved with the $60 billion? So except filling the pockets of chosen one. So yeah, I don't think that even if they go tomorrow with a plane load of cash and hand it over that to Ukrainians, nothing is going to change. So business as usual. Russia doesn't care. Russia is just going to intensify and pay more attention on the weapons and ammunition routes. So they're going to bomb warehouses, ammo dumps. So business of the special military operation is going to continue. It will be more intensified, hitting those kind of ammunition assembling points and locations. So, and slowly but steady, Russian military is going to put that buffer zone between the existing Russian border deep into Ukraine. So I'm expecting that Dnieper will be, let's say, first border. Then whatever is left from Ukraine is going to serve as a buffer zone between the West. Probably the West will grab their shares. So Poland will take over Western Ukraine, Galicia. Hungary will take Transcarpathia, then Slovaks will take their stuff, Romanians will take their stuff, and not too many things will actually left from existing Ukraine. So whatever was 1991, it will never be again.
Yeah, and as some people make jokes that the borders of 1991 were different. Like if you take beginning of the year and end of the year, so.
Yeah. So it's inevitable. It will be basically Ukraine ask for dehumanization. So whatever they got from Lenin, Stalin, basically is going to be rectified, fixed. So Novorossiya or Malorossiya is going to take the shape. But they can blame anybody except themselves, because their political leadership got into that trap, and they have to continue. They must continue, because if they now start to negotiate with Russia, West is going to turn back to them. So they're lost in one or another way. But at least in this way, they hope that they will cash on the suffering of their own people. So that is the bottom line.
And what is also seemed interesting to me is this article. I think it was political, and they say that U.S. Aid will help Ukraine avoid defeat in its war with Russia. Winning is another matter. So
not even avoid defeat. The defeat is inevitable. It's just a matter of time. It's not a question yes or no. The answer is yes, but the timing, the time frame. So it will be some slight delays. But after this package is expired, let's say late summer, what then? So are they going to be another packages from other countries? And the money is running low, so that's with money you can't win the war. You have to win the war with the logistics. And Russia now outproduce the complete Western Europe and North America, and also including South Korea. So yeah, their capacities are limited. To build a new capacities, huge investments is necessary. So portion of this money will go to that stuff. In the meantime, the war is going on, and this $60 billion will cost about 200,000 more Ukrainian casualties. Is it what Zelensky need to answer that question?
And it's very interesting. Again, are they trying to get new Leopard drivers or so? Because for now, Ukrainian, I think he is a minister of foreign affairs, Kuleba. It was his initiative to prohibit men of conscription age to get consular services abroad.
Well, yeah, that is one of the ways how to force them. But if they're banned from the consular services, so let's say renewing the passports, they can maybe try to go to Russian embassy and get something from Russian side. So if they decide to go back to Ukraine, in 2 weeks after they set the foot back home, they will be on the front line, because there is no time to train them. There is no matter how much weapons and ammunition West pour in, Ukraine is running low on human resources, and forcing somebody to go to war. And we see that there are numerous of those cases when they snatch people off the streets, and those people just show up few weeks later on the front line, and if they're lucky they surrender. So yeah, the hope is the last thing that will last to say, but nobody or maybe let's talk about the numbers. If maybe 2% of Ukrainians now, which are now, let's say, in Poland, decide because of sake of documents go back to Ukraine, that will be record. 98% will simply decide to stay illegally or legally, or they will just move to some other part of Western Europe. Also, Poland is now discussing how they can repatriate those Ukrainian
and Lithuania.
Yeah, but see, the problem is they're talking about European law, so there is no extradition. But European Parliament is a brothel, so everything can be changed there. So one day they can simply vote to change that law, and countries will be obliged to send Ukrainians back. Bottom line, Ukraine need a fresh blood, and they need to get that as soon as possible. So they will do everything in their power to snatch people from the streets, to mobilize whoever they can find, and that can be a double-edged sword. So they can fill troop on the front line, unmotivated the troops led by delusional leadership, and they can create much bigger problems at the front line, or it will be riots. Simply, it will be riots, and people will simply will not go there. But Ukraine is getting police state, so controlled state on the absolute level. So whatever was during the Stalinist time, it will be much worse in the few months if this trend continue.
Yeah, because I had a chance to talk to one refugee who is now here, but he is from Odessa district. And he said, yeah, we voted for Zelensky, hoping that he will end this conflict.
Yeah,
but he created something much worse.
Yeah, because he was the he was just the pawn into the big game. So he sold one story to the public. And I was in Ukraine at that time of elections because I was election observer from Canada. So I saw how it's working. People had hope. Everybody were happy when Zelensky and his won presidential elections, and also he won his party won the local and parliament elections. But it was one of the biggest setup, and you can trace the sources in Kiev in some of the embassies of Western countries, and from there it's easy to find who orchestrated all of that stuff.
Yeah, and it's very sad, when people say, "Oh, Kiev lacks human resources," but I see those human resources like in person, human resources who have names, last names. They have kids, and I cannot imagine. I tried this. Well, for a while, I tried imagining what is happening in Zelensky's brain. I cannot imagine that.
Well, just follow the money, and you will see if he's happy. He's the best paid actor in the history of mankind. So he's the richest actor, the best paid actor, most celebrated actor. So yeah, it is just a big farce that the Western media trying to sell to the people. But people slowly but steady getting back on tracks here, because this stuff, whatever is happening in Ukraine, hitting people's pockets here. So people, it's easy to support, unwavering support. How long ever it lasts, but that this is just a story. Once people have to pay 30% more for everything, and the media trying to blame that on Russia, no, it simply doesn't working. It's overall incompetence of leadership on many federal levels in the Western Europe and North America.
Yeah, and one of my friends, he's a journalist from Italy. He has written an article yesterday, and he is confessing that he is depressed. He's saying that I feel depressed. I don't see an exit out of this situation at all. It's like everything went wrong.
Yeah, everything is going down the drain, and that middle class in the West that until now enjoy some comfortable life, and most of people, let's say from Eastern Europe, they just struggle to get to that level that middle class is sinking. So but government is pushing to somebody else, and the blame on somebody else. For instance, in Canada we got like a carbon taxes, and those I don't even want to name in the government who is pushing for that. Simply trying to sink the country deeper and deeper into debts, and to brainwash people. So I saw how that stuff worked many years ago, when you have like dictating stuff what to think, and it didn't finish well. So Canada, US, Germany, France, everything is going into that direction, that people are getting punched more and more. And now the question is when the people start to rise and say enough is enough. Elections are just you have, for instance, look at the US. You have two sides of one coin, and you know who has the coins nowadays. So it's a big farce. So we probably need some radical changes.
And returning to this aid, so-called aid, because I cannot call this real aid to the Ukraine, because real aid to the Ukraine would be negotiation, peace.
Yeah, but it will never happen with this government, because this government is in debt to the West.
Yeah,
Ukrainian government is corrupted. Ukraine is the second most corrupted country in the world. I'm not going to name the first one, but Ukraine is the second one. So their leadership, their political party leaders, the deputies in the Verkhovna Rada or parliament, those people enjoy so much privileges. They have mansions. They're full of money, while the ordinary people are losing their lives in the battlefield. I know that in Russia there are also oligarchs, there are also rich people, and but at least Russia is not mobilizing people from the street. In Russian military, they have a national goal, and Russia is going to that direction, slowly but steady. it's the big gap between the ruling class in Ukraine and the ordinary population is splitting. That it's going deeper and deeper. That split. There are a lot of Ukrainians in the Western Europe and North America who support Ukraine, but if you ask them, hey, if you support that, just go back and join the military. Almost nobody will go there.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to sit home and support, but and the money is there is certain things that money can buy, and whatever money was sent here, 90% is wasted on something else than to help ordinary people in Ukraine.
Yeah, and what I was speaking about, that so-called aid, I think it is just an attempt to win times before the Biden's elections, because
everything. But
Biden to be in power.
Mhm.
Of course, I'm not a doctor to evaluate his state, whether he can rule, whether he cannot rule. I don't know. But he resembles me Brezhnev a lot.
Yeah, he's just a puppet. He's and somebody else who that group that is not even publicly known. Those are the one who rules. So let's say for that kind of group, Rothschild is just accountant, and Soros is PR. So, but somebody who is pulling the strings, and somebody who controls both Democrats and Republicans. And you see what's going on in their Congress. I mean, they start to wave foreign flags in the U.S. Congress. It's a disgrace. It's simply disgrace. There is no dignity among those people. I'm not commenting about their political opinion, but at least stay to the U.S. For the U.S. congressman or congresswoman, U.S. flag, the U.S. interest should be there, and the security of the U.S. should be paramount. But they're doing everything to secure Israel, Ukraine, Taiwan, and their southern border is like a Swiss cheese. And now it's much easier to get into states without documents than with documents.
Yeah. It's
going to backfire, and all of those immigrants, they will probably get legal status and the voting status. So that is the way how politicians in the Biden environment works. Again, Biden is just a marionette. He's just a puppet. He's old man, abused old man. But it is what it is. They stole their elections, and they preach to others how to organize elections. So. It's a joke. It's simply stuff they're doing. It's a comedy, and more Americans realize that. But you will not see you will not hear that in their mass media, because they're controlled with the same group that control Biden and his stuff. But more and more people, let's say on Twitter or YouTube, and also people. There's a word of mouth, so people start to talk. It will be interesting to see. But I personally think that elections in November may not even happen.
That's an interesting point of view.
Yeah. Or it will be simply like some irregular stuff, or maybe Trump will be removed one or another way. But we'll see. There is that like a deep state, but there is other like a positive deep state, so almost like a white and black.
Or maybe they will have some sudden candidate, which is who is not present, like on stage now.
Who knows? I mean, it's a big game. It's a big game, but definitely the G7 is sinking, and the BRICS is rising. That is the order of nature.
And it's very interesting. I recall I think it was yesterday's articles. It's from The Guardian that Tony Blinken arrives in China with warning for Beijing over support of Russia. So. For me, it looks really ridiculous, because how can something like that happen? You come to independent country which has own independent politics, which is like also a constant member of UN Security Council. And how Blinken starts his visit? First, he accuses China of genocide of Uyghurs. Second, he says we will prevent your financial institutions from working in the West. And third one, I have watched it like just before the show. He was speaking that China is spreading fentanyl, standing in China. I don't understand what these people have in their heads.
Yeah, he is delusional fool. He is delusional fool. He's a puppet and delusional fool. I have nothing else to tell about him.
And what do they think? Are they really going to achieve something with that? Is it a
Nothing.
combination of negotiation, or he really hopes for that something will happen, and China will say yes, of course, master, we will not just like support Russia anymore, and so on?
I don't think so. China has a much more interest with Russia, North Korea, Iran, and other members of the BRIC to say community, BRICS organization. And for China, they're simply surrounded almost like Iran with the U.S. bases, and it's easy now. U.S. is trying to push Philippines to do dirty work for them, Taiwan to do dirty work for them. But Oriental people, they lasted for many millennia. And how old is U.S.? 250, 70 years? I don't even know. And they have only 13 years of peace for their entire history. So everything is abuse. In the U.S., they made mistakes a while ago when they manufacturing capacities, because the greediness of their business people, they ship that to China, thinking that China will just be a factory and they're going to enjoy it. But what happened? China took over. China learned, and China is now the number one manufacturing stuff. Russia is number one in resources. So those who have those commodities are the one who are the future. Banking industry, insurance industry, finances, yeah. But it's you can actually you can print the money, but you can't print the people.
Yeah, and resources too.
Yeah. So no, it's I think that the twilight of the Western civilization that we know now is imminent, and it's actually ongoing, and the rise of multipolar world with the BRICS is on the go.
Yeah, and there is also like news just before the show we started recording. There is news that European Parliament has banned cash payments over 10,000 euros. And moreover, they want to control everything, practically everything. So even luxury good dealers, they must verify the identities of their customers and report suspicious transactions to authorities. And there would be a new governing authority. I wonder, first of all, if EU really thinks that they're the only market and they're the only place where goods can be bought or sold. It looks ridiculous to me. So
it reminds me of 1943 and Reichstag. They want to control everything, and they have a Gestapo, which is now have a different name in different countries. But we know how that ended in 1945, and I believe that 1943 is almost over. Just looking in the value. So time when the West was strong. So in 1943, Germany was strong. 2024, the West was strong, but after that, it's decline, inevitable decline, which will end to a completely different world in a few years.
Yeah, and if we're talking about the West, here is one video. This is about Leopard 2 tank. You can see the subtitles here. Private, he describes how the tank works.
I watched that one.
That's good.
Yeah, basically, I work on Leopard, so I know this tank very well. It's a good tank for the Western standards. But once when you get to Russia, there are plenty of problems. And whatever this guy said, and I listened that first in Russian. Yeah, he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. And this. Leopard 2A6 version, I think it came from Germany directly, will be nice in exhibition. It will look very nice in Moscow, and it will be more of them as the time passes and Russia moving west. It will be more and more of this to put in some public squares in Russian cities.
Yeah, and here is that video. Also, have removed the sound. It's like Swedish, some Swedish
Yeah, yeah, Swedish.
is being installed, but there would be
Year
a good.
19, yeah. Yeah, that one also is, everything, whatever they can afford to send from the store, from the warehouses, it's already in Ukraine. Now the stuff is that they have to pull up from the active duties, active units in Western European countries, and that will be sent. And instead of them, they're going to build a new one. So that is the catch of that $60 billion deal. So for domestic use, for the warehouses, and for the units that are going to ship their stuff to Ukraine, used one. It should be replacement that will be paid by with this $60 billion. So, and of course, they may keep, let's say, 6 months of salaries for the troops and 6 months of pensions. And after that, what then? Another 60 billion?
Yeah, it looks not only like collapse of Ukrainian army, it looks like economical collapse of the West too.
Yeah, it's see, West is much stronger economically comparing to Russia, but West lost production, and if they want to fight the war, somebody may say that, oh yeah, they will just open new factories and produce ammunition. To do that, the West will need about 5 years, and 5 years just to do startup, because they have to build, they have to train people. So it is time consuming process, and it will cost about $200 billion. 200 to $250 billion to just to build the factories and start production, because the existing production is simply not enough. It's just 10% of the Russian production, and if on the Russian production, if you add North Korean production, then Iranian production, then Chinese production, it's I don't know, 1 to 50, or even more,
The
1 to
cost of
100.
production also matters because, well, they don't have any more they don't have
Cheap
cheap
labor,
Russian
yeah.
gas anymore.
Yeah. They
Metal
don't have
prices
raw material.
go
Also, problem is raw material. Look at this. For instance, for the ammunition, they use a special cotton for the large caliber ammunition, and nobody in the Western hemisphere is not producing that special cotton. Everything is imported for China.
Yeah,
So basic components for ammunition is imported are imported from China. Look for uranium. They're importing that from Russia for the nuclear power plants. I mean, we can go with this story for a long time, but bottom line, West lost capacities for the mass production of weapons. So the story about what was 1939, 1940 to 1945, it's a history that will never be repeated. Production is in the east, and raw material is in the east. So
yeah,
just follow the logic. And the West has money, but the East has a gold,
yeah,
and you can print the banknotes, but you can print the people to man that stuff. You can print the workers to skillful workers to do in that sector. So yeah, it's a overall decline of North American and European production capacities. Somebody may argue, not let's say Europe is making the best cars. Yeah, but how many parts for those cars are actually produced in Europe? Everything is imported. Even when I wanted to buy my car here, Japanese car, I have to wait, let's say, 2.5 or 3 months for delivery, because some crucial parts are not coming from China, so that they can assemble that in the States. And
yeah,
this is just for a car.
yeah. And here I want to like change topic a bit, moving away from Ukraine. It is about yesterday's Security Council, where Security Council rejected Russia and China's amendment to the US and Japanese resolution on non-deployment of nuclear weapons in space. First of all, I wanted to ask, is it really possible to deploy nuclear weapons in space, or it is something like in a very, very distant future?
No,
And
it's possible. They can deploy that tomorrow.
and
They can launch satellite with a nuclear bomb, and the satellite will orbit above the earth, and in any given time they can simply redirect it and dump whenever they want.
Mm. But is
Yeah,
it really that space where that International Space Station stays, or it is in lower?
no, it can be everywhere. It can be lower, it can be higher, and the satellites they can change orbits, so they can change position. So probably it will be in a lower orbit, lower orbits. So it's not not a big deal to place it there, but little bit of controls how they can basically release that bomb from
Yeah.
the satellite. They can do that on any given time, and there is no protection because it will go just straight 90 degrees impact whenever they aim that. So yeah, I read this just briefly this morning about this stuff. It was also other weapons of mass destruction. Whatever U.S. and Britain trying to do, they're trying to put stuff in their favor. But now Russia and China, they realize what is going on.
Yeah. But I really, I try to understand. I'm not professional in the arms, but how, like, what would be the meaning? What would be the essence of placing nuclear any kind of mass weapon?
It's a shortage, yeah. Shortage of time, reaction time. So a satellite, for instance, orbiting over the US, you can release that within a minute, and it will hit target within a minute or several minutes. If you launch a ballistic missile, there will be traces, so the radars are going to detect that. There is anti-ballistic missile defense, so they will try to intercept that. So reaction time is much shorter. So let's say from 30 minutes or 20 minutes for ballistic missile to, let's say, a minute or minute and a half from the satellite. So that is advantage. Satellite can fly over Washington D.C. and in a given moment just dump it from let's say from 60-70 kilometers or 100 kilometers, 150 kilometers orbit, and within a minute it will be on top of the White House. So reaction time is much shorter, and you have 50 satellites. Let's say each satellite can have a 2 or 3 nuclear bombs. So for the surgical attack to eliminate the command post, decision-making centers, the rest will be on the ballistic missiles or from the land or from the submarines. The same is also for applicable for US. So US can also put a nuclear bombs in satellites and dump that on Russia. But Russia is building that anti-satellite capacity, so Russia can basically hit satellite in near to Earth orbits, destroy it before it drops something. But the problem is destruction of satellites. All of those debris will basically be very dangerous for anything on that orbit.
So militarization of space in general is more of a risk than of a...
Yeah, it's a risk. But in the case of global war, nobody will actually care. The important is who can strike the first, who can survive the retaliatory attack, and equipping the satellites with the nuclear bombs. It can be, let's say, in the range of kilotons, or they can even, for the bigger satellites, they can put in on the megaton scale. So precision dumping on somebody's head, for instance, in the decision-making center, within a minute, it can eliminate that ability of anyone to react. In Russia, for instance, they have solution for that. It's called like a dead man switch, like a seismic detectors. So any irregular seismic activity will automatically send the codes to launch everything. So even in the leadership is completely eliminated, that system or those systems will detect anomalies in the seismic activities and launch everything.
Yeah.
And
so
it
will be the end of everything.
Yeah, game over. So
at least end of civilization as we know it.
That we know. Civilization that we know, but bugs will survive.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And according to Vladimir Trukhan, whose daughter, he said that his daughter was studying in Japan, and she said that Hiroshima is one of the most ecological, eco-friendly cities now, and they're growing some kind of very expensive vegetables there. So
Yeah.
humans will be in danger, but not anything.
Yeah, no, not on that way. But it's Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It was 20 kiloton. We are talking now about a megaton. So let's say Russian nuclear torpedo, it can release 100 megaton, and it can rise the 500 meters or 1 kilometer high tsunami that will wipe everything on its way. Plus radiation will stay for 1,000 years. So Hiroshima was nothing. One explosion in Ukraine, let's say, was I think 5,000 tons of or 7,000 tons of ammunition just went up. I think it was in Khmelnytsky, and that look almost like a nuclear detonation. But imagine this is just, let's say, 5,000 tons. Imagine what is going to happen when 100 megaton explode. 2 torpedoes in UK is part of history forever.
Yeah. And what I wanted to clarify, I read it somewhere, I don't remember the source, but I want to ask if it is correct that when nuclear bomb is launched, it doesn't have to contact the target. It has to explode over the target. So
Depends. It can be set up so the fuses can activate it on a certain altitude, or it can be set up so that it penetrates deep into the ground. If the bomb explode, let's say above the city, it's not only just shockwave and radiation, but it's also electromagnetic impulse. That electromagnetic impulse will EMT. It will simply fry every electronic device which is not protected by Faraday cage. So it will fry simply everything. So nothing electronically which is not protected with the specific waves will survive. So we're going back into the 18th or 19th century regarding to that. Now, even without nuclear explosions, that electromagnetic pulse or EMP pulse can be achieved with the conventional explosives. So Russia developed Alabuga, is the name of that weapon, so that with a much shorter range and the area that can cover, but the principle is the same. So it will simply, idea is the same. So that electromagnetic pulse will fry all electronics. When let's say in 2 to 3 kilometers, or depends on the size, let's say 400, 500 meters. So if they explode that over the, let's say, electric power plant, it's gone without any physical destruction. If it's explode in the vicinity, let's say, of command post where all radars are or radio communications are located, and it can simply disable that without any major destruction.
And is it temporary, so one can restore it afterwards?
No. It's going to fry all the electronics, so the one can come and replace the parts. For instance, motherboard in computer. Once when affected, it is damaged beyond any field repair, but they have to put a new computer. So that will be the same with the phone, with the radio. So, but the physical destruction of your buildings, power plants, building will stay, power plant will stay, vehicle will stay, but everything electronic will be fried.
So even if it turned off?
No, it doesn't matter, because that pulse will affect everything which is, let's say, any electronic components, any chips, any diodes, any motherboard, any circuits.
So we'll be really back into 18th century.
Yeah, so we'll use like gas lamps or something like that. But there is protection, like a Faraday cage, so that pulse is now they have, let's say, in in the bunkers they have like a protection so that radio signals can go in like a deaf room or silent rooms. But you have to put everything in that.
Yeah.
But it would be bad if at least we can have some time off from the cell phones.
I wonder how long that.
Yeah, just a little bit of Alabugas or Alabuga missiles over, so that we can relax and let's start to read normal printed books.
Well,
Not
yes,
people.
we have a lot, and I know that your book is coming soon.
Oh yeah,
And we spoke, I think, in February or January.
yeah. It's already published on.
It's already
Yeah,
published.
sword. Yeah, one is about Russian air defense, another one is about rockets and missiles used in Ukraine.
Maybe you can write me the names,
Yeah,
and when we have
yeah.
our next meeting, I will make an announcement.
Yeah,
So
I will
if
send you link. Yeah, I will send you links.
they can
Mhm.
they can search for those books.
Yeah, yes, I will do
Yeah.
that.
One more question. It is from today. He was a former police officer, an ex-employee of French counterterrorism intelligence, Nicolas Cincini. I hope I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. He gave a large interview to RIA Novosti, and there he was saying that first of all, what was interesting, he was mentioning Battle of Mariupol, and he said that really one French general, according to his data, participated there.
Yeah, there was
And
not only French. There was a British. I think some Canadians and Americans, high-ranking officer participated in that. A couple of them were killed. I think some of them were taken prisoners. But this is very sensitive information. So
yeah,
let's not speculate about that. But some big shots were involved from the Western side. Were involved in that.
yeah, because first of all, it was there was some information, but it was unofficial, and then everything was silent.
Yeah, so in that, how we can maybe try to trace that. For instance, if there is some rumors to try to avoid speculation, just wait. But sooner or later, some news like car accident or airplane crash or heart attack or somebody drawn into the bathtub or fell from the cliff while hiking or some training accident and some high-ranking officer perished in that one. There is it's you can almost pull the connection with that. For instance, one Italian lieutenant colonel, he was they said that he died from the heart attack, but he was in Ukraine in that time, and right in about that time when he died, or a few days before, Russia hit one of those command centers. So, and also like a Polish general died in some exercise 3 days after, let's say, the one or other command center was hit, and few other Polish officers. So I don't believe in coincidence. It's everything is that is the way how those services will work. They will not go to 100%. They will not go publicly say, "Oh, we lost our general in Ukrainian command. He was brave." Blah blah. No, it's not going that way. That kind of incidents or losses will be blamed on car accidents or airplane crashes, hiking crashes, whatever.
Yeah, and here also Cincini said that there were two people from French side who were involved in as if volunteering activities, but then he learned that they were representing some government service.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of them, for instance, if you see like chief of the staff of some NATO country come to Ukraine for negotiation, he's not going alone. He's going to check how's his guys doing stuff there, and there is a joint commands, operation commands, there are joint intelligence commands, planning centers, so mission operation centers. So yeah, there are many NATO officers, so even from Canada. I'm not going to speculate about names, or even I have some information, but it's there is U.S. officers, Canadian, French, German, Swedish, Polish, Dutch, even Lithuanians, or Estonians are there. I mean, they're better for the hunting society. but definitely NATO, high-ranking NATO officers are there, and there are casualties among them. As I said, it will be always interpreted and presented on some other, due to some other reasons, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
And as the time passes, it will be more of them.
And okay, I can understand maybe high-ranking officers who are sent there, like on business trip, but I cannot understand people who volunteer into ranks of AFU. And I can understand people from poorer countries. Like today I read also an article. It was interview with widow of one of the fighters who went to join Ukrainian side, and he got killed in the Ukraine. And she said that he went there only for the money because they promised him $5,000 salary. And of course, it's huge money for like Colombia, and he went there to die.
Yeah, it's a mercenary, so it's a mercenary life, and since the beginning of warfare, there were always those who fight for some kind of compensation. So, and it will be so that trend is not going to change. Who are the mercenaries? As you said, people from the poor countries, but they're also they're retired or former soldiers from the Western countries, which don't know any other trade. This is all, warfare is the only thing that they know. So they will go, again, for money. Some of them will go for some ideological reasons or political reasons. Even active officers will be commanded to go there. Once, I think, Austrian Colonel Marcus Reiner, I hope that I said correctly his name. I really admire his comments. He said, what is the volunteer? If he, for instance, he changed uniform and signed contract, he's basically in that case he's officially in the Ukrainian army. So also I'm expecting retired pilots with a huge per diem salaries. There's missile operators in the form of instructors or maintenance technicians, which are now operating Ukrainian stuff or train Ukrainians abroad or in the country or operate systems, because those systems are complicated. I already mentioned intelligence groups. Yeah, they're working together. They're there, and from time to time, some of those locations were hit. For instance, how you will know that if, for instance, Russia hit hotel. That's recently what happened in Chernihiv. Or in Odessa, some of those places were basically taken as headquarters of those kind of groups. And Russians are not naive; they have multiple sources. They will always verify to the multiple sources, and after that, they will simply send shahids or even better Iskanders or Kinjals or even Zircons to deal with that. So I simply understand. There is also mercenaries who wanted to fight for Russia for one or another reason. Wagner Group was also mercenary, but in Russian law, it can be mercenaries operating on Russian soil. So that's the reason why all of that affair with Wagner, long story short, they disbanded into Russia. They joined either Chechens or the Rosguardia or regular military. Who didn't want to join, they were sent to Africa, where again mercenary is perfectly fine regarding to the law of the country that sent them. For instance, what is Foreign Legion? The name says everything. It's a mercenary force, foreigners hired by French government. So they're mercenaries, but they are considered as French soldiers. So long story short, since the beginning of warfare, there were mercenaries, and it will be mercenaries until total annihilations with the nuclear weapons. So they are simply part of the warfare for one or another reason: ideological, political, monetary, aventourism, sadism, just name it.
Yeah. And as you remembered Wagner, there was a very good article published today by Marat Khairulin. It was about Timur Ivanov's arrest. And there were people commenting under that article, and somebody remembered Prigozhin, and they started accusing all the Russian Ministry of Defense that they are all liars and they all steal, and only Prigozhin was right, and only he was good, and he was correct about Shoigu and so on.
Well,
so people still live within some kind of myths created, and they cannot overcome.
It's just adding some extra fuel to the fire. I mean, that general was arrested for a reason, and FSB or military intelligence military security forces will not arrest him without reason. So probably if they said bribe, but probably something more, maybe treason or something like that. But you know what? There is several deputies of ministries, not only one. The investigation will show what is behind. But you know, it's actually very positive, because Russia is transparent. They said, okay, we arrested Deputy Minister of Defense for such and such reason. So they're cleaning weed from their garden. In the West, if they arrest everybody who is corrupted, nobody will left in the office. Look, U.S. Joint Chief of Staff. I think that they're not getting some let's say supportive monetary things, not on their name probably, but maybe on their spouses or whatever. And when they retire, they will become the members of the boards of those MIC companies, or Congress or Congress people. It's I mean, 90% of them are corrupted. So after this deal of 61 billion, they will get money, maybe not directly in the briefcases, but some very close to them will get the money. It will be political donations to their campaigns for the re-elections. So this is the way how things working. And if they start to arrest everybody in the West for corruption, hardly anybody will stay in the power. I'm not saying that it's not the corruption in China or in India or but most likely there is not to be corruption in North Korea. But in Russia, they started. They're transparent with this, and this is actually very positive to see.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares if he's the deputy? If he's deputy defense minister? Yeah, he committed crime for the bribe. Okay, so he's going to be punished for that after investigation. But if he was also a traitor, cooperating with foreign intelligence, that's much harder. And if anybody there, for instance, to do auditing for those funds, let's say $3-4 billion that Pentagon can account that was sent to Ukraine, where is that money? Where is that? Where are all of those weapons finished? So it's simply easy, but the way of corruption in the West is much more sophisticated than in Russia, for instance. In Russia, is more or less face-to-face, direct one. Yeah, I'll do favor for you. You do favor for me, and we share the deal. It was the same in Yugoslavia or Serbia, but in the West, it's much more sophisticated. It is the high class of corruption.
But I think it's human nature after all. If you put somebody in the position, people will it will come naturally to people.
Look, if you want to do business in the Middle East, this is a cultural bakshish. So you have to pay minister, you have to pay minister deputy, you have to pay minister one of four wives or whatever. So somebody they're expecting money. They will do nothing if they don't get bribes. Many Western companies were actually caught in that kind. Even one company that I worked with was caught for doing some huge bribes to some North African and countries on the Middle East or Western Asia. So it is the way how things work in there. And I call it bakshish. So everybody, you need to give them bakshish so that your company can get a job. So the same thing is that you give them bakshish so that you can give them you can sell them weapons. Yeah. And also, but look what's going on in the States. When one of the senators, he showed a bag of nuts or bolts and nuts or some very very cheap stuff and said that U.S. Air Force paying 90,000 for that, and in the hardware store you can buy that for less than $100. So where is that 89,990 dollars or $900? Where that money is disappeared? Some black fonts or whatever. So somebody got that. Corruption is present since the beginning of time, but some countries developed that on a much higher level than the others. It's funny, when I was in Kabul once, that I had to go to the civilian airport, and the guy, Afghan police said, "Okay, can you give me $100?" So I asked him why. He said, "For me and my boss." I said, "But why?" "Bakshish." Okay, bakshish. Okay, bring me your boss, then we are going to share that. I'll give you 30, and I will keep 30 for me because I want to bribe myself. Is it okay? Yeah, no problem. It's okay. So I give them 30, and 30 for me, and 10. I took 10 also for me. So I was most corrupted in that case. I mean, it's funny. It's fun stuff, but this is how things working. So the lowest level up to the highest level.
And I also like the fact how people linked military construction. He was like responsible for construction, and they linked him already to production of shells. It was also human stupidity, as if they view like any ministry as something homogeneous, where everyone is responsible for everything.
Yeah, one joke. The corruption is allowed. Steal on the elections is allowed, but the problem is only if somebody who's doing that is get caught, and some companies that support that kind of like let's say democratization of elections, training politicians how to win elections. They're actually doing the stuff. They're training them how to not get caught.
Yeah.
After they steal elections. Look what happened in the US. I mean, that's a joke. That's honestly comedy with their elections. They can talk whatever they want for some other countries, but even the elections in Ukraine were much more honest than in the States. And I was witness in Ukraine how elections are going, how they count, how they destroy any unused ballots. After, so it's much more honest elections in Ukraine than in the US, and there is nothing electronics. Everything is on the paper. So people show up, vote. There is a 7 or 8 or 9 members of commission count that. 3 signatures, protocols are filed. But in the States, electronic. Somebody can vote 60 times, just going from polling station to polling station.
And I remember that. Maybe you also remember that very old joke when there was, I think, George Bush and Albert Gore.
Mm-hmm. And
person on a voting machine tried to like vote for Gore, but that button always ran away from him.
Yeah. So
he finally caught it. It turned out that he's voting for Bush.
Yeah. There's a way. See, there's a.
Yeah, it was of 2003, I think.
Yeah.
See, it was very old, but I still remember it.
Stealing, cheating, everything is allowed. The biggest problem is somebody's get caught in that stuff. So that's the reason why they have all of those organizations, NGOs, how to teach people not to get caught.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, November will be interesting month if elections ever happen at that time.
Yeah, this year in general would be very interesting.
Yeah, we'll see. Time will tell.
Yeah. Okay. I was thinking about asking one more question, but I will save it for our next.
If you want, yeah.
It was on Kaliningrad and Suwalki Gap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I read something that from Lithuania they sent some drones over Belarus, and those drones were intercepted. I don't have details, but it's a tension. It's a kind of tension there. And Kaliningrad is part of Russia, so I don't know why Russia even let that gap to exist, but I guess they trusted Lithuania and Poland. They still have communication, but for instance, trains are when trains going there just completely blocked, covered, so they no interference. And let's say that in the case of some major escalation, Russia is going to breach that gap. Lithuania is not going to stand on its way. Any attack on Kaliningrad will be immediately, automatic response with the nuclear weapons. I don't have any doubt.
Because as we are not on the territory of Russian Federation, we can say that, okay, Crimea maybe doesn't look that legal in the eyes of international community, and Donbass, they are Russian by Russian constitution, but there are questions among the other countries. But Kaliningrad is officially part of Russia, which is acknowledged by NATO too. So I think they must be, how to say, they must be very cautious there. And I don't think that Poland would risk assaulting that gap.
No. I mean, there are plans how to take over Kaliningrad. There are war games, simulation. This is what the military headquarters, like war games, what they're doing, planning. So there is also on the other side, Russia, how to defend it. But as I said, any attack on Kaliningrad will be nuclear missiles exploding in Warsaw. All over Poland. So I will exclude it. It may be some provocation. Let's say some groups will send drones or quadricopters or that kind of stuff. But those groups are actually dangerous. So now it's up to authorities to do that. If authorities support that, there is a problem. If this what happened in Belarus, they really Lithuania sent maybe some Ukrainian SBU guys from Lithuania send drones to Belarus to provoke something that will be serious escalation. But I will wait for now for the final assessment, because I don't have proper information yet.
I see. Yeah, we always have to wait, because chasing after sensation, and then it turns out that
this is for charlatan to chasing the sensations, and for those who are using the certain logos in their profiles, let's say on Twitter. I don't even want to comment this.
And we are not doing this.
No.
Please mention that. Yeah, so subscribe to BMA Analysis, Substack.com. We are not chasing after sensation. We are after only proven news.
Yeah, facts.
Proven data. Facts, yes.
Yeah.
So fact checking is the main thing. Well, okay, I think we are finished for today. I will prepare more questions for our next meeting. So thanks everyone for watching.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye, everyone.
Goodbye.